I'm Doreen Heng Liu from the Node Architecture in the Pearl River Delta, China. Today, actually, is the place I'm research is taking place in the Shenzhen. The places I was growing up, and then it's the place I come back and work and live. So the topic today actually is from Kun and Xian. Probably this is you can understand from the Chinese, from the figure of the meaning, but actually I will explain that later about what exactly means, what's the Kun and what's the Xian. So as you know, actually everything, Pearl River Delta is sitting in the South China. Actually, it's something to do with a boundary situation. As you all know, Pearl River Delta is the south of the mountains and also north of the sea. And then so many, the cluster of the river come together. So Pearl River Delta from the very beginning of the history have to do with the boundary situation. So the boundary actually is a barrier. It's a trapped situation, but also provides certain kind of opportunity, the mobility, the possibility to connect it to the outside world. So actually, the boundary situation, it is the center of our focus today for my study. And so that also provides opportunities about the human beings' life and space in between. So this is the very reason the boundary situation as the central government in China choose Shenzhen as the first economy open zone. Actually, this is the launched 30 years ago when the open door policy is taking place. The reason they choose the Shenzhen actually because it's next to Hong Kong. So actually, this is the beginning of the globalization. Also, is the beginning of the Chinese after all these years, the different kind of ideology. So now it's a transformation taking place. So as you know, because the boundary situation in Shenzhen is next to Hong Kong, so that's taken advantage about reconnected to the world. So the first boundary of Shenzhen taking place, and then again, this is also the place we start with the new urbanization, the rapid urbanization. So you will see back to 30 years ago, we only have a very few human urbanization, but mostly it's a life, the nature in between. But through the years, actually, we expanding the boundary into the secondary boundary, but actually the urbanization taking much rapidly than before. And then, so this is the situation we are now. Actually, basically, we have no land for the future, for the further development, for the construction. So we really run into the situation we are trapped in space. So this is maybe several data we can support that kind of rapid urbanization, rapid development in Shenzhen area. Take example, as a population, as 30,000 years ago, 30,000 people in the 1980s, but now it's 12 million, so it's a 400 folds. And then the economy, as even more striking number, is 1,600 times folds than the 30 years ago. And then that's also result in the urban space. So we have now it's 800 square kilometers is development land. It's basically we have no land left for any agriculture and farm. At the same time, of this kind of a construction land, we have a 30% actually for the infrastructure of mobility. So, and then to all of this is mobility, and also we are counting in the length of the road. So also, you have seen it's also is a 35 folds. I think the development of the length of the infrastructure has been taking place in the past 30 years, but now it's still increasing year by year. So, but at the same time, we have also conflict. The data, as what you see, is everything is adding more and more, but at the same time, we have a lot of vacancy actually left. So from the left-hand side, you will see it's a factory. We have a 30% and 45% now is a vacancy. So it's a die down of the manufacturing. And the right-hand side, from the realistic housing market, we have a 33% of the people, the house units is empty, but it's already bought by many people. So with this kind of conflicted number, we can see the region has been developed more, and then the people, and then the increasing number of the population, and then demand for the higher GDP, it's really driven us to demanding more. So right now we are on the situation as a Kun. as we trapped. So I will explain why I use this word. Because in kun, in the Chinese, you will see this is the very bounded square, and then we have a wood inside. So this is means it's a difficulty and also puzzle. So in the old days, at the boundary also, could be a wall and could be a river. So which means in these letters really carry the meaning of the boundary, solid boundary, and also carry the flow of the mobility. So actually, this is exactly, we live in the boundary. So as the Shenzhen developed, we can replace the wood to reproduce a lot of different kind of words. So you will see from the people, from the well, from the library, from the water. So this is all combined, a different kind of a cluster of a certain kind of neighborhood. And then this is exactly what Shenzhen has been planned by all the different kind of gated communities and cluster of a different kind of use, single use. And then you will see all these things were bounded by different kind of mobility infrastructure. So the mobility of infrastructure is connected both point A to point B, but at the same time they segregated on the same kind of dimension from the people, from the nature, and then also maybe between the different kind of people. So, but not only that, actually this kind of infrastructure mobility keep expanding in the width. So we can see in the past 30 years, in the major road and Sennan Road is only 7 meters back to 30 years ago, but now it's 150 meters wide. So what this will leading to what we have to solve this condition. If we have a lowland left, we have no space to expanding our road. What's our next step? So what we can do can provide more before we have a land resource. So, but we have opportunity. So this exactly the meaning of a Chinese kun also have another meaning, is chance. So why I said it's a chance, because it's a wood inside the space. So when the people living, the wood, another kind of form of life will taking place in this space. So we're thinking about how we can work with this space, and then maybe we open up as a door. It is a door. Okay, and then the door, and then maybe we can transform a situation as a trap situation, another state of a freedom by open door. So another kind of open door. It's the same kind of meaning back to the 30 years old when the open door policy is taking place. So we are looking for this kind of a state. We have to escape from that kind of a trap situation. So we want to open door, but how? So we have to rework with this kind of road. So with the road with a 150 meter wide, and the road is keep densified. So, and I think the reason we have to go back to this item by item to analysis, what's the real capacity for the road, and what's the potential of this road can do for us. So actually we separated this kind of road capacity. We have a logistic, we have a human mobile, the people. So actually, this is a lower number. I wrote it down, but basically calculate it's 30% actually for the cargo mobility. So how about we reconsider the cargo part and put it into the different places? So we have more space on the surface for the people to reconnect it to each other. So that's why I think we are not against the increasing capacity or increasing number of infrastructure, but we would like to, by thinking about how we are going to use the road and create this kind of break the barrier to recreate another kind of a reconnection and different kind of a dimension. So the next step actually is try to releasing the trap condition. So we think about, I think the surface of the land is very important to introduce the whole human experience. So I think the human experience has been limited by the kind of a segregation of the road. So how we are going to reconnect it, I think reintroduce the experience. So we do some calculation about the logistic back to how the increasing, because the Pearl River Delta also is the largest factory of the world. So the logistics play a very important part, a large part of the infrastructure of mobility. So we think about this idea about how the goods has to be transformed, how transported from the rest of the world, go through the factory, production, and also the storage room, back to shopping mall, and finally you're reaching your own home. So how we are going to, from all this length of road, how we can do to figure out the capacity or the area is going to take. So how about we can shrinking down the road, maybe to take out some of the logistic, put into the invisible situation. So by the introduced idea, I think we borrowed the idea about the internet, the clouds idea. So about the internet communication from the old time, we have the mail coming in, and then we have to go for a trunk of a logistic, the transportation into the end of the home to get the mail. But now it's virtual, right? So I think the clouds, we can go through the certain kind of virtual places, and in the end, we're reaching the mail just exactly the same information, but in the very quick and very less space. So the same idea is how we can we do that? We can save a lot of space of the logistic, put into the invisible clouds, and then to save the whole area for the human being, for the other kind of lives, and we're taking. So this is the general ideas, what we start to think about how we are going to improve the situation, smart to use the land we are left. So, again, we use the idea about like a cell phone. We see over here, it's like we have a lot of a trunk of technology either in the visible place, on the surface interface. Actually, we can experience a very, very different kind of a life above. So we are kind of a parallel comparison, how the city maybe do the same thing. Can we do something on the smart, in the much invisible technology and leave the ground floor and maybe the urban space available for different kind of experience? So this is just a general idea from our concept. And then we also talk to the local planning officials and work with different kind of transportation consultants. We really get to the point, actually, it's possible we can rework of the very shallow space of the underground when they start to do the infrastructure of a mobility. Maybe this part of the form we can transfer into the logistic part. So this is the way we try to, but the problem also issue is how do we control the logistic, the flow and distribute, and how to control in the final interface of the reconnected with the human beings. So this is, we try to do the study about, the model, and as you can see, the downstairs. And in the end, by shifting that kind of 20 to 30% of our logistic, moving goods activities into the invisible subsurface, maybe the other kind, not only the subsurface, maybe the other kind of invisible space, and leave a lot of space. At least we have a 30% of available land waiting for the other kind of activities taking place. So, and then by doing that, all the relieving space, we can reintroduce a lot of human activities back in place. So what you see over here is interface between the underground and then the ground level, how that kind of networking information has been transmitted. And then also, we can introduce a lot of different kind of activity coming back. The zoo used to be in the very separated condition, now is back in place. And also introduce a lot of sports and all these kind of different forms of life will come together. So this is the ultimate goal we want to our Shenzhen in 2030. So we are not about, more and more is not a bad thing. We take it as a given. So the future still is, Shenzhen still is a highly efficient city. It's a highly dense city. But at the same time, through different kind of, through the increasing the capacity of the mobility infrastructure, by releasing a lot of land for the future of Shenzhen can provide a free-minded future and also that kind of self-sustained cities with all the possibilities. So in the future, as what we are trying to say is achieve that kind of Chinese philosophy is a man and human can live very happily together in harmony. So in the end, I think I will probably end it up with 2 minutes video. Actually, our video is 6 minutes long. It's downstairs. Actually, I think it's very nice animation, so I welcome everyone after that can go to visit. Thank you.